Good morning, everybody. Peter Ariz here, bring you today's edition of CanesInSight Daily. D-Money will be joining us in just a moment here. He's running a few minutes behind, but we want to get things started on Thursdays. As always, one of the best guests that we have here on CanesInSight, Steve Kim, will be joining me momentarily. As always, the show is brought to you by the law offices of Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Take back control of your life with Anajar and Levine. Dial 1-800-747-FREE, 1-800-747-3733. Take back control of your life with Anajar and Levine. Without much further ado, the great Steve Canine Kim. Steve, good morning. How are we feeling? Are we over it yet?
You know, Saturday morning when I opened my eyes, I was in Coral Gables at my friend's house. Shout out to Richie. I just kind of looked and I had this dazed feeling. And I looked out the window and I can confirm the sun did rise. It came out again. And then several hours later, I met you at Duffy's. We had a great time, a place where everyone knows our name. Drank a few, talked some shop, talked some ball. It was like a therapy session.
Yes.
You know, it's a loss. It is what it is. And now you have to turn the page. And I was telling somebody that I texted that works in the building, hey, keep the boys' heads up. We can be depressed. We can be in the doldrums, but you guys can't. Still a lot of ball to play. Still a lot of things in front of them, but also this realization, a lot of things to clean up from Friday night.
Yeah, and I'm with you. I think that initially the first 24 to 48 hours, the vibes I was getting was not great. Just the fact that they played on the Friday night, you have to sit there and watch football the whole day too. I think guys stayed off social media for that portion of time, and I think it's you got to regroup here. And what an opportunity, right? Like this is if you're looking for a team to bounce back against, you could say this one's set up on a silver platter, although we weren't very strong in the prognostications last week looking at the matchup. But I mean, Steve, let's get into Louisville real quick. I know we've been breaking it down all week here, but I really have been waiting for your thoughts on that game as a whole. I mean, you were there. You've made the trip now for what, 3 games this season, so yeah. You knew what the energy was like for you were here for Notre Dame and Florida, right?
Yes.
So you were here for those two. You were also here last week. So just talk about what you saw last week and I guess the energy level difference in the stadium.
A couple of things, and I'm not a South Florida or a Miami resident, but if you talk to anyone there, if these games would just start 1 hour later, the crowd and the energy from the get would be much better. I mean, really, it was compared to what it was. There really was no juice in comparison to those other 2 games. But right around the middle of the third quarter, I looked around, and I know everyone's going to make attendance jokes about Miami. The crowd filled in really nice. It really did. And again, people have to understand, and I go through this in L.A., when people say L.A. is not a great sports town. Anytime there's an East Coast start time for television, you go to Dodger games and Laker games, the first couple of innings or the first quarter or two, it's about halfway to about 2/3 filled. There's a lot of similarities between LA and Miami in terms of that dynamic. Also, right off the bat, Louisville, they jumped us. And something that I like to say, don't establish the run, establish points. And I thought Braum had a great game plan right off the bat. And if I'm Corey Heatherman and I look at this game, I just wonder, would you play a little bit more press, have your outside corners get their hands on the receivers and reroute and jam? And also, they're going with the quick game after that first drive. Consistently get your hands up on the defensive line to try to disrupt that quick game that was really effective the first 10 minutes. And then finally, we can rehash everything, but I want to go to the end of the game. The end of the game, the Isaac Brown fumble, it's amazing, guys. It literally energized the crowd because when it became 24-13, people were leaving. I mean, people were streaming out of my section. Everyone was saying their goodbyes. We punt the ball. And when the Isaac Brown laid the ball on the ground, it just turned on. It was almost like a light switch. And we get the ball back finally. We look like we're in position to at least maybe get a game-tying field goal attempt. That last interception was so stunning. It reminded me a lot, Peter, and you were very young. I don't know if you're going to remember this. In 2005, we play a primetime game Saturday night against Georgia Tech. We're the number 3 team in the country.
The Reggie Ball game. It was like
Yes.
It was Thanksgiving weekend. Yeah.
It was like 14-10, and we had gotten the ball down there deep. And to this day, I'm still trying to figure out why Kyle Wright jammed that ball where he did. When my guy Quatrine Hill's wide open in the flat, he would have taken into it about the 2 or 3 yard line. And he throws that interception, and the balloon went out. That was actually the end of the Larry Coker era, because we had just come off winning against Virginia Tech in a top 5 battle 2 weeks prior. And we're thinking, okay, we're going to be okay here. And if you go back to that particular game, that was the beginning of the end for Larry Coker. Now, we can't do anything about Friday night. You can only look ahead. Now you have to make sure that this is not the beginning of the 2025 season.
Steve, I got to ask you about this because you are one of the few people that would understand this because you've been online with the Canes for so long. The topic of the day, of the week, really the last few weeks, been the running game, running inside too much, running inside.
You're going to say JoJo Trader.
Yeah, well, you already went viral on that one.
Ready, man. I was ready to go. I was ready to type my notes. All right, and hit the timestamp here. This is where the JoJo segment starts.
So you've been around, Steve, for a long time online, early days of Canes Internet. I had the Hurricanes, all that. Do you remember when we used to run with Larry Coker as the offensive coordinator, the stretch play?
Yeah.
All the time. And the boards were, I think you were part of it, were furious about how much we ran this stretch play and how often we lost yards trying to run the stretch play. And now we are here in 2025 and everybody's saying, we got to run that play. It's just funny how both plays work for different people. It's just hilarious how things have changed.
You know, to be fair, when all of that went on and when I coined the term Coker T, which, let's make this clear, that was 2 tight ends, a fullback, and a running back, and only 1 wide receiver. And my problem with that was, I remember thinking, we have Reggie Wayne and Santana Moss, and when we have the ball at the 50-yard line on 1st and 10, the University of Miami is running a 1 wide receiver offense. It made no sense. And so when you pack it in so tight, 2 things happen. You're tight. And it really opened my eyes as I had really good end zone seats. I believe I was in the west end zone area. And we had the ball right near our own goal line. And I'm kind of watching. Until you see it live, there seemed to be like 12 Louisville defenders within a 3-yard area. And I think, guys, we can't run into this. And Dawson tried to go with a lot of the quick screen game. One of the big factors where Louisville whipped us, their defensive backs did an excellent job of getting off blocks, winning those individual battles, and then later in the game, really tackling well out in space. They made sure 8-yard gains, only gained 8 yards. I thought they won that battle. And I'm just thinking, look, you don't have to revamp the whole offense. You're not going to reinvent the wheel in week 7. It's just not going to happen. I do think you're better off sometimes spreading it out, getting into a lighter box, and letting your front 5 and your tight end, and I know our tight end blocking has not been great, actually open up a little bit more space, a little bit more air. It's interesting. I've seen videos from guys that really know football. They say sometimes it's easier passing out of the tight condensed sets, and then it's also easier running out of spread because, again, it's about spacing and the ability to get bodies out of the box. And I'm really looking forward to this Stanford game is how we approach it. I have no problems with establishing the run. And get this, guys. You're actually establishing the run. First 12 run plays on Friday night netted 26 yards.
Steve, I'll say this. Definitely needed some Jensen sunset corners after that game.
I think business must have been booming after that game. And guys, we just want to let you know this segment every week is brought to you by Jensen Sunset Corners. And before you head out to Hard Rock on Saturday night, you got to make sure your tailgate is loaded up with everything you need. Jensen Sunset Corners, they have you covered with all the best wine and spirits. And here's the thing. If you come in rocking your UM gear, even with the Ibis that does not have the Band-Aid and the pipe like this fine shirt, you're going to get 10% off all non-sale items on game day. So again, that is Jensen Sunset Corners, located at 8701 72nd Street, Miami, Florida.
Professionally done. Professionally done. So, Steve, Malachi Toney, I want to ask about him. You called him malware. He is continuing to infect secondaries all across the country. Every week it feels like he shows us some more. Yeah, you put him in a box, or not you, but we all say, all right, this is what he is, and he's great. Then he does even more than we expected. Where do you see the future for this guy? Because, I remember Santana Moss at that age was not as good, quite frankly, and as disciplined. He was someone who really developed into what was, to me, a Hall of Fame caliber player. Didn't have the quarterback to do so, but was Hall of Fame caliber skill set and player. But he wasn't that at that age, from what I remember. I remember getting in fights, suspensions, and dropping balls and stuff like that. Put Malachi into some historical context here, having seen a lot of these guys from the beginning to the end.
No doubt, in my view, he's the best pure freshman, true freshman receiver in Miami history. Now, Reggie Wayne in 97 was pressed into duties. He was pretty good. Now, I didn't know Reggie Wayne would become a future Hall of Famer, but honestly, Malachi Toney is now a player that opposing defensive coordinators are going to specifically game plan against. And with that said, that means you're going to need other receivers to step up and win battles. But the versatility that he showed, I tell you what was impressive last year, guys, was during the playoff run in his final high school games, how he played quarterback, and he actually looked like a guy at Division I level with certain systems. He could have actually been a really good college quarterback.
I was at that game. And the thing that jumps out, and I'm going to pull up the highlights here if I can find them, about that particular game, he didn't run. Like, there was no running in that game. He maybe sometimes would do like a Cam Ward scramble around, but it was all passing. That's all he was doing in that game.
Yeah, and look, we brought out the gadgets. We went to the jet sweep, and then we went to the Philly special on back-to-back plays. Guys, I'm just telling you, Carson Beck, we got to get him going again. And I look back at the interceptions. The first one down the post, Malachi was tackled. That could have been a PI and was slightly underthrown. The second one, if you're going to throw that pass, you got to throw that high and away where only your guy can catch it. And the worst thing that can happen is a incomplete pass. A lot is being made over the last interception and whether he's throwing Elijah Lofton under the bus. You can interpret those comments in any way. But there were times when he actually had a clean pocket and that opening or second read was not there. He got really jittery. And I was a little bit alarmed by that. But the way you help a quarterback, in my view, and this is one of my bigger gripes about Larry Cochran when he was offensive coordinator for certain games, the way you help a quarterback, if your run game is not there, you got to throw on early downs. You talk to anyone that has coached the position or played the position. And Coach JB, we've talked about this. The toughest way to play quarterback is to go run. Oh, God, it's 3rd and 8. And you do that consistently, you are going to consistently have a quarterback that's in the toughest positions. And believe it or not, I know it's going to seem counterintuitive. I think against Stanford, we got to dial up early pass plays that are actually a little bit more vertical and not just rely on the bubbles.
See, I think it's going to go the opposite way, Steve. I think we're going to see a lot of side to side and a lot of screens to get to try to get his confidence back. That's my read on it. I'm not saying there won't be shots, but I think that okay. You're going to see a lot of that in the game.
Then you know what? Kevin Beard better have his guys coached up to block on the perimeter because they got whipped last week. Louisville won just about every single battle when it came out to those bubble screens, and you got to block out on that perimeter. Louisville, they really bullied us outside.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Stanford plays this because you look at the stats and just watching them on tape, they really are better against the run than the pass. Just from a personnel standpoint, they're bigger guys, they're disciplined. I don't want to say they can stop the run because they're 80th in rushing yards against per attempt. So they're not good there, but they're really bad against the pass. Deep in the hundreds. They're a team that historically I don't think has been very good stopping the pass and having great personnel outside. So do they say, all right, well, we're better at stopping the run. just from personnel standpoint, and therefore we're going to protect our bad DBs? Or are they going to say, hey, we want Carson Beck to beat us because he struggled last week? He needs to
we have
prove that he
breaking
can beat us.
news. We have
Let's go.
breaking news.
What happened?
We have confirmed now, after the back and forth all week, the Canes will be wearing the camo uniforms this weekend.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Listen, I think they tried to do what they could to not have to wear them, but here they are.
Man.
Are there other shots? Do we got like a whole?
This is from the official Canes account 4
They
minutes
don't got
ago.
other looks.
So,
They got a helmet. What's the helmet?
it's black. You see right there? It's black with the
It's got the U on the side. I can't see.
to the left. You don't see it right here? On the,
There
on the
it is. Yep.
on the photo.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. We got mixed reviews in the comments. Yeah, I'm always down for supporting the troops here. You got to win.
No, it's a great cause, but I mean, how come we just can't do like team warm-up? So when we come off the plane, it'll look like the 86 team. But then, see, I'm a traditionalist, guys. I respect like the Yankees. I even respect like Penn State and Alabama. You know why? Because they keep it simple. They respect tradition. My view is this, fellas. Orange over white on home games. Then we go white with the orange pants for road games. Then if on a hot day, we go stormtroopers. That's it. That would be we're not Oregon here. I keep it very simple when it comes to this stuff.
Darnell Phillips says, former Army guy, but trash. Yeah. I know we got a lot of people who served on the show in the chat. So let us know your thoughts on this whole deal. Because I'm curious to hear that. But yeah, it's I'm not a big fan of alternate uniforms, period. This is the kind of game you do it because I don't know.
It's a good cause.
It's a 30-point spread, but we got to play well.
You know the worst alternate uniform that I can remember that we did? It was the week after we lost to Florida State in 2013, and we're playing Virginia Tech at home. That was the game that Stacy Coley had the early punt return, and then D'Onofrio's defense gave up the next 48 points. And we wore the smoke uniforms with the white helmets, and it just looked kind of off. It looked like one of those old replica uniforms that you'd see in the Sears catalog growing up. But what I really hated about those uniforms, guys, the nameplate on the back, they didn't have the last names. It just said Hurricanes.
Yeah.
It's just such a lazy, cheap look. Good grief. Anyway.
Hey, listen, I don't think we're changing anytime soon, man. I think this Adidas train is going to keep rocking.
94.
Well, I like Adidas. I actually like the Adidas stuff, guys. I bought a lot of it, but man, okay. It is what it is, fellas.
Sorry, I listen. This is always the uniforms are always a big topic of discussion, so I had to bring it into play here.
Well, look, I mean, it's one of those things where if we go out there and we win 50-10, Mario's going to want those uniforms every single week. It's just kind of depends how you play in the uniforms. I don't know, Pete, you're the youngest guy in this chat. Do you think the kids are going to like these?
I don't know. I don't love them. I'm also not a camo guy. Love the troops, respect the troops. But yeah, I don't think it's a very good look, honestly.
Well, I don't like that, Steve, you as a historian, I don't like the symbolism that, our quarterback threw 4 interceptions and then we wear the camo. I remember that last time we wore camo, there was a lot of pics thrown by our quarterback.
Vinny Bextaverdi? Ugh, God, just, ugh. God, Vinny Bextaverdi.
Yeah, this DZ Dean saying the smoke uniforms of Stacy Coley did a number on Steve. I just remember that game because
I like those smoke uniforms, but
Stacy Coley took a hitch or as a bubble screen. I don't remember what it was. It was a short pass. Maybe it was just like a smoke route, and he took it to the house, and the place was going insane. And the uniforms looked real good then. Then Virginia Tech just started doing a number on D'Onofrio the rest of the game, and they looked a lot worse after that. So it just kind of depends on how you play a little bit. There you go, Trey saying should have gone black pants with black helmets. Backing up says Pete, you have a camo weighted vest.
Did not choose. I actually requested a different color and they sent me the wrong one. And I just did not feel like going through the process of doing the return. So
Josh wants them in the game. So a lot of it's at least mixed.
They will. They usually.
Well,
I think polarizing is normally when you have a uniform like this, it's good to have a polarizing reaction. I don't think you're ever going to get 100% hit rate but it's better than everyone hating them. So,
So before we switch gears to Stanford, Steve, I got to ask you, when are you? Because I missed you. You were down this past weekend, right, for Louisville?
Yeah, I came down on Thursday night. Friday did, the game day. Then Saturday, me and Petey were nursing our sorrows, crying in our beer for about 4 or 5 hours. We watched Ole Miss against Georgia. We watched the Ohio State-Wisconsin game. All the mid-afternoon games. Me and Petey
Indiana
stuck around for. Indiana against
at Duffy's
State
Tavern, of course.
Man, I missed you guys. I was running around doing family stuff, the baseball, the normal stuff. I gotta catch you next time. Is there any day on the horizon that you're coming down, or is that undetermined
I don't know
right
if
now?
I'm going to come to another home game. I am going to be in Dallas though, and I believe we better circle the calendar, guys. SMU is starting to get their offense revved up. That is a homecoming event, I believe, for the fine people of Dallas. They're going to pull out all the stops. But first, we got to focus on Stanford. That's one game at a time. Because here's the reality, guys. And someone put this to me so well on Twitter when I did my game recap, the post-mortem. I believe Miami has to win every game now because here's the thing. In life, you're much better off expecting the worst but hoping for the best. And we cannot count on Georgia Tech losing a game or two. We cannot count on Louisville losing anymore or Virginia. And with the scheduling quirks of the ACC, if Miami wins out, they may still be left out of the ACC title game. And again, that's a worst case scenario. But I also believe this. In an 11-1, a Miami team will make it to the playoffs. So in that sense, they are still in control of not their own destiny, but their own fate. So someone said to me on Twitter, they said, Steve, Miami is now going to basically play 6 straight game 7s. Let it begin.
Well, that's how college football's supposed to be. That's how it used to be. It used to be 12 game 7s, but then they changed all the rules on us. So that's fine. We're going to be favored in every game. We got to take care of business. And look, Steve,
I don't know that means anything.
It doesn't.
For being
well,
honest.
it means something. It doesn't guarantee anything. I'd rather be favored.
I don't know that it mean. I don't know that it means a darn thing, D. Because we've seen teams crumble at the same. We've seen Miami teams be favored the entire way and not do it. We saw them last year. Were they not favored the entire way last year and lose 2 games?
Petey,
last week?
Petey, I think in the
last.
last.
I'm saying
11,
so. Let's not.
Go ahead, Petey. I believe in the last 10 or 11 games, going back to when we were 9-0 heading into Georgia Tech. I went to that game, right? And from that point on to now, I believe in the last 10, 11 games, this is a fact. This is not calling for anyone's job. I'm not trying to rip anybody, but I believe in facts. They matter. Miami has lost 3 ACC games when they were double-digit favorites.
Well, I have the stat for you here.
Oh.
It is because I actually was talking about this the other day. In Miami's last 10 games, they are 6-4. 3 losses as double-digit favorites. So I do not give a you-know-what that we were favored the rest of the way. Not one bit.
And look, for those, there's actually like discussions about Mario Cristobal or people upset. There's a reasonable expectation among most of the fan base. We're not asking for this particular team to go into Columbus, Ohio at the Horseshoe and beat Ohio State. We're not asking you to go to Athens to beat Georgia. We're not asking you to go to Tuscaloosa to beat the Crimson Tide. What we are saying is, can you routinely beat ACC teams? Again, the mark of a good program, and you want to keep elevating it, is this, fellas. Win the games you're supposed to on a consistent basis. That's it.
Yep. Yeah. That's the name of the game. If we do that and play consistent Miami football against teams that on paper are not as talented, you'll be coming down here for a playoff game. And
look, I want to come November. I still want to be able to come once again and enjoy the great humidity of November in Miami. I actually like warm weather. Here's one thing I want to see against Stanford, guys. I'm just telling you, this thing has irked my nerve. I believe in the last 4 or 5 games, we've had over 15 pre-snap penalties on offense. Guys, that's not good for a whole season. Really. We got to get that thing right because it's put us in too many situations where we first down, it becomes 1st and 15. Well, right off the bat, that puts you in a hole. There was also a key moment, and I believe it was after Malachi Toney's big catch and run. 14-7, we're near the red zone or in the red zone. A 3rd and 2, what happens? Flag becomes 3rd and 7. Completely disrupts your ability to use 2 downs at that point, right? And it was an incomplete pass. Mario Cristobal is an offensive line specialist. Alex Mirabel is probably the best offensive line coach we've had in a very long time and one of the best in the country. At what point are they going to clean that up, if ever?
I mean, it's got to be this week. I mean, you go on the road against SMU. You go on the road against SMU. That's a formula for disaster. A team that really, again, all these teams are. You could look on paper. Louisville, I was shocked at what happened because watching them the week before, they really struggled up front. They couldn't run. They couldn't pass protect. Their defense was good. It was not as good as it. I didn't think it was as good as what we saw on Friday. It looked even better. So Louisville, really, they played great, but they would not have been in a position to win the game if not for those penalties. I just, even with everything else that happened, the penalties just put us behind the sticks and took us out of our game.
Hey, you know what they say, man? If my aunt,
it's inconsistent.
So it's not to me. It's not an outlier in this game. It's just
not an outlier in. By the way, before people jump on me, it's not an outlier in Mario and his teams. This goes back to Oregon. This is a consistent deal. Is what I'm not trying to excuse. It's more of a
this will cost us the
game.
Mario's best win at Oregon, I'll never forget. They were down a couple of players, including Kayvon Thibodeau, and they beat a loaded Ohio State team at the Horseshoe. I remember watching that game. Oh, man, what a great win that was. They ran for like 275, 300 yards. Oregon, I believe, was in the top 5, probably 2nd or 3rd in the country, and they somehow lost the game to a pretty bad Stanford club. And that was kind of like where Oregon fans to this day hold that against them, that every year we lost the game we're not supposed to. But you know what? Again, can't do anything about it now. If Mario finishes this thing 11-1 in year 4 and we make the playoffs, this thing is moving and trending in the right direction. I'll say, Mario, you did a hell of a job. I think he's doing a hell of a job. I'm a big Mario Cristobal believer. I advocate for him a lot, but that does not make him immune from criticism. This is a results-based world, not just industry, a results-based world. And it's not like we're going through murderer's row here. We're going through the heart of the ACC, which is pretty mediocre down the middle from about the 4th or 5th team on. So, look, there's still a lot that can happen. You got to play games. But, Danny, I have a question. If you pay this much money to retool your defensive back room and specifically cornerback, why are we afraid to play press coverage? You know the quick game is coming from everybody now.
Yeah, I don't know. And Miller Moss is not like the best deep ball thrower. So, it's not like you're just deathly afraid of the deep ball, even with a guy like Chris Bell who can get downfield. I mean, really, what scares you with Chris Bell is exactly what he did. Free release, gets going, hard to chase him in man coverage, which happened on the first one, or if he catches it in the middle of the zone like on the second one. Either way, it's after the catch. So you want to avoid that timing route, especially when your defensive line, if you disrupt the timing at all and you disrupt the quick game at all, they're going to kill Miller Moss. It's not like they didn't win their matchups when you watch the film. It was that their quick game was totally unencumbered, total rhythm. To your point, I don't know. That's one thing we haven't talked about a lot. People are complaining about the corners. I don't think the corners actually played that bad. I thought the secondary as a whole needed to tackle better and swarm to the ball better. But my question more with that is exactly what you just said. Why weren't they disrupting those quick timing routes, which you knew was their only chance for success given the pass rush and the pass blocking deficiencies that they had? Well, a question for Pete here. Well, your thoughts, and then Steve as well. The Barcelona, right? It was Barcelona.
Yeah.
The game was canceled.
It's a scummy club that they were trying to get over on the rest of the league. They were getting paid underneath the table. The rest of the league, protested it, and they were taking a home game away from Villarreal, and that's the NFL does it now, obviously, and they take these home games away, but that's a huge deal over there. They do not want to do that, and again, this all comes back to the scummy club in Catalonia, Barcelona. This is what they do. They wreck things. So thankfully, the corrupt La Liga structure has been infiltrated, and that thing has been canceled. That's my thoughts on it.
I was about to call the National Guard into this, because if you're talking about canceling an American football game for this, a playoff game in Miami, a home game, it would have been probably the biggest disgrace in our
No,
nation's
they
history.
literally did every game last weekend in La Liga. The first 15 minutes of the match, the players stood around and didn't as a protest, right? Because they didn't want it to set the precedent to be able to lose more games moving forward. And by the way, nothing had been like nothing was actually planned. They were just like announcing it and rolling it out to try to see kind of like what the feedback would be. So it was obviously terrible. And they tried to pull a fast one. But again, that is scummy Joan Laporta and Barcelona for you.
Well, Steve, you're going to either come down, we hope, for the first round playoff game at the Rock or the championship game at the Rock. And when you do, we got to go to Islas Canarias Cuban Express right there in the Dayland Mall Dining Pavilion. And it's staring at us right there, that kimchi croqueta. Do you like kimchi? I mean, I'm generalizing because you're Korean. Do you actually like kimchi?
Yeah, I do. I don't have it every day. I have it about once a week or so. I mean, look, I'm second generation Korean. I'm basically American is what I am. But yeah, have I had my fair share of kimchi? Yes. But do I eat it every single day? No, I don't.
Once a week's a good ratio.
Yeah.
Have you never had the kimchi on a Cuban croqueta, correct?
No, that mix I've never had. Never done that fusion. Never.
So only one place in the world where that can happen. That is Islas Canarias Cuban Express, right there in the Dayland Mall Dining Pavilion, next to campus. Easy access to everybody, right there off the metro. The Dayland Mall, Steve, I'm telling you, the Dayland Mall Dining Pavilion. I don't know what's like the hot place in LA where like all the movie stars and all the starlets would walk around. Is that like Sunset Boulevard? Like what's that considered?
No, that's Sunset Boulevard. Actually, much of that is kind of a tourist trap. I think it's like Beverly Hills, Rodeo Drive.
Rodeo Drive. The Dayland Mall Dining Pavilion is putting Rodeo Drive to shame. I'm telling you, it's a runway out there. All the finest food, all the finest option. Pete knows. We're taking you to the Dayland Mall Dining Pavilion next time you come down, and we're getting ready for. I won't even say a first round playoff game because hopefully that's a bye. I'm more focused on that'll be a January 18th trip before the championship game to the Islas Canarias Cuban Express. There it is. 94 says Cuban Korean fusion, baby. Stationed in Korea twice for 4 years. Gotta love it. There it is, baby. We got Cuban Korean fusion.
Hey, shout out
right
to the
here.
38th parallel. Thank you for keeping the peace up there from the Norteños. Greatly appreciated.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I'm looking forward to the World Baseball Classic. That's gonna be fun. I know South Korea gets wild for that one. That'll be in Miami too. That's gonna be insanity with the way baseball is going. You see it basketball. You saw Chauncey Billups just got arrested for betting. I guess he got arrested. He got arrested for playing poker with the mafia, and then Terry Rozier got arrested for kind of throwing games or throwing overs.
A once proud Miami Heat franchise, man. When they had
before
LeBron
he got
James.
there, it was before he got there.
Yeah.
What a disaster, man! Basketball. I mean, baseball.
Crazy. Listen, you hear. I thought Pat Riley did all the background research on these guys, man. Things have changed, man. Sad.
So. Steve, what else jumps out to you going forward here? Let's just talk Stanford out. Let's just focus on the Stanford game because you're out west. I know you're in Southern California. A lot of press on Stanford right now between Andrew Luck coming in, big donations coming in. They are playing better than they did the last 4 years. I mean, they're 3-4 the last 4 years. They've been 3-9. You think that they'll get one of these probably against Bill Belichick to get over that 3-win ceiling that they've been on lately. What do you see with the Stanford Cardinal and that whole program?
Well, they should have beat Hawaii in week 1. They could easily be a winning team right now. They won last week against Florida State, and it kind of ended the Mike Norvell. And I was watching that game really groggy at the end. You know, and the starting quarterback Gulberson got knocked out, but they're pretty physical. They're still, they don't have a lot of speed, not great athleticism, but it looks like a much better team than last year. They were really bad. And I look at this, and it's like, this is a 30-point spread. Again, I know winning is important. That's the bottom line. If Miami only wins this game, let's say they scuffle to a 31-10 win, I'm going to be worried, guys, and I'm going to keep harping on this. How you win matters because it says a lot about your team. Not all victories are created equal, because when I look at Ohio State just methodically pounding people I'm thinking that's a good looking club right there. They are well coached. That's a culture. They know what they're doing. And if you actually, I was having a discussion about this with somebody last week. And guys, go back to even last year when we were undefeated. We don't have that many ACC blowouts. We really don't. We've had comebacks. We have high scoring games, one possession games. We pulled away from Wake Forest late, poured it on against Duke. But we have not had a lot of those games in league where we just jump out and dominate and look like an elite team where you're going 52-0. Guys, blowouts matter. You want to develop depth. You want to empty the bench. You want to keep guys happy because they could play for a quarter or two. Blow teams out. And this is one of my biggest things. If you are playing just to win 27-14 every week, I actually think you're doing damage to your team. I'm just a believer in blowouts. They matter. It says a lot about you.
Comment here from Oso saying locker room saying family members of some players aren't happy with lack of rotation and play calling they will be hitting the portal. Have you guys heard anything like that? Listen, we're not going to speculate on certain guys, but this is certainly something I'm concerned about. It's something that I said right after the loss. I think the social media stuff that we saw this week kind of confirms that. And it'll be something that we have to watch moving forward. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I mean, Steve, we were kind of talking about it the other day. This is where, in this NIL era, you see what I'm not going to say what the culture is, because every program in America deals with this after a loss. But you got to rebound.
Peter, I don't think this is just exclusive to Miami. I really don't. Every single program of note that has NIL deals and players that were made promises and came in as highly touted recruits, and if they're not playing by, let's say, earlier in their second year, there's going to be grumbling. There is a reality to this that goes both ways. On one end, players expect to play. They want exposure. But then on the other side, and we talked about this last week, the institutions themselves now, which means the management of the football program and the leaders of the collective, they're also looking at players saying, are we getting our money's worth? I mean, we've made this thing so transactional now without any guardrails, right? That it became the wild, wild west and it's anarchy. And I know that I'm in the minority and people hate me for saying it. You want to clean up half of this right off the bat? I would say flat out, okay, you want to transfer? Good, sit out a year. I never understood why we ever changed that rule. I don't. And people say, well, what about player freedom? Look, these guys are allowed to transfer. They can become students and get their degree. They don't have to play football. Again, it was Commissioner Kim. I would say any transfer, you're sitting out a year. And trust me, it would clean things up, I think, significantly, immediately.
Well, I agree. It's happening every single program. It's happening in NIL, but also pre-NIL. I'm just laughing because, like, talking to family members, go to Tamiami, go to Grapeland, go to any little league baseball field in Miami and walk around and talk to the family members of the players on whatever team. And you'll find people complaining about playing time and the coaches. This is the most common deal in the world, especially when you talk about family members. Now there's degrees to it all, right? The worst team the worse the environment is, the team, the usually the record, right? And the status of the coach, the worse it's going to be. But I'm not saying it's not a real thing, because it is 100% a real thing. I'm just saying it happens everywhere, especially when you talk about family members.
And Danny, look, I know the reality of the money. The money matters, okay? But I've held this belief that, number one, as a football coach who leads a program, you better make sure the guys that you are recruiting and eventually sign that name on the dotted line, they actually want to be here for the right reasons and not just the money. Again, the money matters. But you have to make sure that they actually want to be a part of this program and will buy in. On the flip side, as a player, you better make sure you're not going just for the money. Because if it's only about the money, you're going to find out you're stuck in a place and you're like, wow, was this worth it to spend the next 4 years of my life here? And I actually feel bad for some of these guys that have gone to 3 to 4 schools in 5 years. When it comes to the real world, who's their alumni base? Who's their network of people that can help them? Because I'm cold-blooded, guys. I've told this to big-time boosters at Miami. I've said, guys, I want to make this very clear. This is my opinion, and you can do it any way you want. But if a player that you like and you've helped and all this other stuff that goes into this, If they transfer from Miami and they play out their eligibility somewhere else, they're not one of us. I wouldn't help them. When they call you for a job referral or can I get a few bucks? I would look at that phone and I'd say, hey, you know that guy you called to leave us? Yeah, call him. Click. Loyalty has to go both ways. Now, I don't care if you never played, but if you stick with Miami and you graduate and you're a program, we help you. You're a Cane for life, just like that tailgate with those alumni. You're a Cane for life. It may seem cutthroat, it may seem cold, but folks, that's the reality. Blood in, blood out. Loyalty has to matter.
We had a paid comment here from Mo Hussein. He said, Steve, are you confident in Carson's arm when teams take away our run game and short passing game?
I've said it for about 2 weeks. There seems to be a noticeable lack of zip on his throws. Okay, that's what I've seen, and I am no expert. I'm just a layman. But I believe we have no choice but to have confidence in it, because if we're just going to go run, oh, God, let's throw a bubble screen on 3rd and 8, we're not going to go anywhere. We're going to have faith in Shannon Dawson to make some tweaks. We're going to have faith that Carson Beck can steady himself. And then we have to have faith that the guys outside, that anybody emerges outside of C.J. Daniels and JoJo Trader. Because there's another question, guys. All right, everyone's talking about this other receiver who shall not be named. Like, literally, JoJo's become like the Loch Ness Monster of Miami football, okay, or Bigfoot. So forget about Loch Ness Trader. What has happened to Josh? No more snaps. What's happened to number 3? What's going on there with Josh? No more snaps.
So we got Loch Ness Trader and Josh no MOORE snaps.
Right.
Good question. I if I had to guess, at least in the last game, I think what might have happened, and this is not an excuse, if I had to guess what happened, the fact that we were down 14-0 early, typically when that happens, it kind of close ranks more so than expand. So I'm not saying that's the right thing. I'm not defending it. I'm just saying if I had to guess why it happened from the standpoint of the people making those decisions, I bet that has a lot to do with it. Now,
can I say one thing also?
Go ahead.
Just a general statement here, not about anything in particular. An off-field incident doesn't keep a guy out for 5 weeks.
Yeah, and he played. That's the thing. JoJo played against Louisville. He only played 1 snap.
Just a general statement. I'm not talking about anything in particular.
Well, no, but thank you for saying that, Pete. I'm glad you brought this up. This was something I was going to talk about. Thank you. JoJo played against Louisville.
He played against you. He played not against USF. That was the game he missed. He played another 1 snap game against was it Florida? There was another game that he played 1 snap in one of these games also.
Yeah, you don't play people 1 snap when they're suspended. So just food for thought there. I know a lot of rumors are percolating. Look, and there's always bits of truth in all this stuff, but big picture, I think that's something to consider. That he did play.
Yeah. So
I got to ask you, Steve, important question here. I know you're a prognosticator, but usually the sweet science and football, but there's actually a baseball question for you. Studio One Live wants to know what's your take? Samsung Lions, Hanwha Eagles, Game 5, KBO.
Okay.
I heard Hanwha's got a heck of a bullpen, so if they get to the bullpen, it's lights out.
I don't know anything about Korean baseball except Chan Ho Park pitched 25 years ago for the Dodgers. Guys, I don't even follow Major League Baseball, much less the stuff going on in Seoul and Busan. I'm pretty simple.
Awesome. Have you seen highlights? Have you seen highlights of what they got? They got beautiful girls throwing out the first pitch and serving all the drinks. They take shots after everything basically, and the players do bat flips that they throw them farther than the Latins. The Korean bat flips are the most flamboyant bat flips in baseball. It's a jam.
The Korean and Japanese baseball culture, I do know this, is much different. The Japanese believe in respect, being very quiet and stoic. Funniest story I've ever heard about Asian baseball is from my friend Dylan Hernandez. Even though his last name is Hernandez, he's half Japanese. He works for the LA Times. Big baseball guy, covered a little boxing. He told me he was in a baseball game in Japan years ago. like the fourth inning, and this guy lays down a bunt. It's the regular sacrifice bunt. And all of a sudden, they stop the game. And Dylan's like, what's going on? And it's like a celebration. So both teams come out, and the guy that lays down the bunt has been given like this big wreath of flowers. And this crowd just gets up, and they're just giving him this great ovation. And Dylan's like, what's going on? What happened? And the Japanese translator goes, oh, that was 500 sacrifice bunt for career. Great honor. I was like, wow. They honored a guy for his 500th sacrifice bunt. That is culture. That is a culture of
love the game over there.
We need some of that on the Canes, man. You think these guys are getting 9 penalties in a game pre-snap? You think they're getting pre-snap penalties over there in the Nippon League? Come on.
It's just sickening. When I think of Mario Cristobal, I think of solid elite offensive line play. You cannot have this many false starts, procedures, phantom snaps. It's almost like we have the yips. You know, the yips, like when a guy from second base can't make the throw to first. I'm just telling you, teams are now making that late shift, the sudden movements, the simulated pressure, and we're just reacting. I'm like, guys, this is stuff that shouldn't happen in spring ball install.
I just saw a hilarious comment on my Discords. Someone posted the camo uniforms. Oh. Someone replied saying, now nobody will know if JoJo plays.
See, we try to stay away from talking about it. We can't, every time we think we're out, they pull us back in. Jeez. Loch Ness traitor.
We've talked a lot about the offense, Steve, but defensively, man, I think D kind of alluded to it. The tackling has gotten worse essentially every game. The worst tackling game in Mario era, and I say that because to highlight, we've had some horrible defenses in his time here, who have been horrible at tackling, and that was the worst performance we've seen. So that, and then again, not to harp on it, but defensive line, you probably won't have Mesidor, if I'm guessing correctly, just because he's got banged up, and I don't know that you want to throw him out there in a game that you're favored by 30 in, and you know that there's a long season ahead. I'm concerned there. And defense as a whole, I think it becomes a very mental thing when you start missing tackles. So it's a bad trend.
Well, in terms of mess, hopefully it's one of these things you hold them out, understanding you got to go to Dallas next week. I hope it's not a multi-week injury. He's been so good. I know it's easy to be overshadowed by Ruben Bain, but that is a dynamic bookend that we have out up front. Now you have to have guys step in, but you're right, the tackling. I was talking to Roman Marchante. Rocane does a hell of a job. State of the game, does great videos, done some great breakdowns of the Louisville loss. And very, very informative tweets also this week. So shout out to him. And we were conversing via text, and he said, Steve, there's no doubt about it, watching this game again, the speed and the suddenness of Isaac Brown put Miami defenders on their heels. And the other thing that was infuriating, and again, I think Heatherman's done a great job, but guys, we have to understand this trend in football. Nowadays, when it's 3rd and 10, you have to understand teams are now more likely to go for it and make it a 2-down situation, right? There were situations in that game where I kept thinking, guys, we got to be on draw alert or screen, because teams are not just trying to get all the yards back. Let's say it's 3rd and 14. Teams are not trying to get basically 10 yards. So if they get to 4th and 3 or 4th and 4, now they can make a decision based on field position and who they have out there, right? There were so many times I thought, in that game Friday, I'm thinking, guys, it's going to be a screen. They're not throwing downfield, and they'd hit us with a screen or a draw. And there was one backbreaker, was 3rd and 10, and they kind of ran a misdirection, and Isaac just scampered outside. The speed of Isaac Brown and some of the stuff that Brom did, it was really, really nice stuff from Louisville.
And you can't have missed tackles. I mean, that's the thing on a guy that's 190 pounds who, yes, he was great against us and he was healthy against us, which I think helped him be even more dynamic. But Louisville did not run the ball at all before they played us. I mean, they were one of the worst running games in the country going into that game. So to start the game with him running the ball, I think was a major tone setter, because it's like, all right, we actually can run the ball, and we can run the ball against these guys who have stopped Jeremiah Love and all these better running backs, or better running games. Brown's legit, but better running games than what Louisville had on paper going in. Comment from Dominic, he says, Miami Hurricanes like Miami politicians, bunch of BS. Hire CanesInSight be their spokesperson. Let's start being real. We actually got a lot of politicians listening to the show. I think most of the Coral Gables political communities online, Doral, Francis Suarez, I know, is a CanesInSight guy. So we got a political contingent there on the show. But I don't know, what more do you want from us?
What do you want us to say? I think we've been pretty honest about this loss. And by the way, it's Thursday now.
Yeah.
So, we got to kind of turn the page. I don't think anyone is saying that we played a great game last Friday.
Penalties going back to Oregon. Outcoached just in terms of the dealing with Brom coming out of the bye. Our own tackling was not prepared coming out of the bye. What else is there? Quarterback made a lot of mistakes. What else do we got? Uniforms. We got on the uniforms. We got on the DJ. We got on the fans. Who else?
Game day atmosphere.
I will say our usher in our section, Aaliyah, is fantastic. She's always got a good attitude, always keeps the line moving. So Aaliyah was on point, but I think everybody else we've pretty much we've ripped pretty good. So
yeah, listen, I don't know if he's referencing like when we talk about players and stuff like that, but there's still a long season ahead. We'll see what happens.
There it is. Louisville's history. We still make history if we look forward to our on remaining games. So you mentioned blowout, right? It's a 30-point spread. So that's the basic part of it, Steve. But what do you want to see? Like, what do you want to see? How do you want to see us look?
I want to see at least 40 to 45 points. But what I'm just telling you, this is counterintuitive. I'd like to see more intermediate and vertical shots on early downs. Guys, football can be a very simple game that can be made complicated. And quarterbacks will tell you, if we see a certain amount of people in the box, we throw it outside. They have two safeties deep, we run the ball. It's not all that complicated. And I just thought, look, a lot is being made over the inside run game. I think people are being a little bit too simplistic about it, right? But you do need some variance. And once in a while, you have to be willing to go against your own tendencies. We got to get Carson Beck on track. And I know that could be very precarious given the fact that he struggled, right? Anytime you have a quarterback with 4 interceptions and really 5, you have to bring him back, though, because if you're going to try to play ball control and win every game 17-10, it's not going to work. It is not going to work. You're actually going to put a pressure on both sides of the ball. And my view is we got to get Carson Beck to where he was in the first couple of weeks, where the offense operates functionally, smoothly, and efficiently, and we also get big chunk plays. And so I get it. There's a lot of frustration, and I'll never forget, guys, 2003, we had one of the 3 or 4 best defenses in Miami history. You just look at that roster: Sean Taylor, Vince Wilfork, DJ Williams, Vilma, Kelly Jennings, Antrell Roll.
They were all seniors too, right? And juniors, they were like old.
Yes. Baraka Atkins was there, Kareem Brown. We had a lot of good young players. And that offense that year, when it bogged down, when it was obvious Brock Berlin was not meant to run a pro style under center, we decided not to go with the shotgun spread and hurry up after that Florida loss. But okay, fine. But when they imploded against Virginia Tech on that Saturday night, where he threw a couple of interceptions, one was pick 6, we got so scared offensively. And I remember the next week we lost to Tennessee. I think that game was 10-6 or 10-7. I was at that game, one of the most boring, desultory games I've ever seen. If you go back to that year, Derek Crudup actually started a game. It didn't work out. Larry Coker's exact words were, well, we can't play scramble ball. And so we went back to Brock Berlin. Guys, it was the most boring, fundamentally simple offense. It almost gave us no shot to win. But guess what? That defense was so great, we still won the Big East that year. Because I was at that game in Pitt. It was 10 degrees the whole weekend, right? But you can't allow 2025 Carson Beck to devolve into what happened to Brock Berlin in 2003. Because if you actually have big goals, you need good, solid, confident quarterback play.
Yeah, that's a scary comparison. Although in retrospect, that team was really, really good, kind of compared to what happened after, right? It's interesting. But yeah, it shows you how much expectations change. Because I remember that season felt like a nightmare. It was one of the most high stress, painful seasons ever. And now you go back and look at that, you're like, man, how many games we win? Like 11? We were top 5 or something?
We were 11-2, and we played Florida State twice. And Danny, I think there was a game against like a bad Syracuse and even like Rutgers at home. We didn't score a lot of points. Go back to those boxes. Because I remember watching those games at like a sports bar thinking, I don't like this. This is 3 years after. This is after 3 years of Ken Dorsey, where the offense looks like a machine, right? And on that particular offense in 2003, there was still a lot of NFL guys. Chris Myers was up front. Roscoe Parrish was outside. Sonoris Moss was a young player. He made the National Football League. The running backs, I think Frank Gore was at least there for half the year. He got banged up and lost for the year against West Virginia. Kellen Winslow was on that team. Kevin Everett was on. So it's not like there was no talent surrounding Brock Berlin, but what happened was the whole program, and including himself, lost faith in Brock Berlin, and that offense went into a complete shell.
Damon Jones arrested as well, D. Breaking news.
Wow,
DJ. That's my DJ. I love Damon
all these Miami Heat, man. A once proud organization.
This is the Black Sox scandal of the NBA. Isn't
Adam Silver's got to go. I mean, the guy is pathetic.
This is about to be horrible. I'm sorry to be off topic.
I want to address something, Steve, and get your thoughts on it before we get you out of here. When do we got you? To like 10:05?
Yeah, 10:05. Absolutely.
All right. So I want to address this and get your thoughts. So Steve Smith, who contributed to the chat, like his comments, but I got to disagree with him here. Says the disrespect on UM wide receivers is crazy. I guess he's talking about JoJo. We're not getting any 5-star wide receivers from South Florida. And another comment basically saying, like, here is the inner cities in South Florida are not talking about going to the U. Well, when I look on TV, I see the best defensive player in the country is a Miami player who stayed home. I see the best freshman period in the country is a Miami Gardens, I believe he's from Miami Gardens, or at least South Florida receiver in Malachi Toney, who stayed home, and he's making plays every day. I think the bigger problem here is, aside from Jeremiah Smith, who we tried like heck to get, and we barely missed him. Probably would have gotten him if he would have been a year older. South Florida 5-star wide receivers haven't been very good lately. I mean, Mark Pope, what did he do? I mean, I don't think that was a UM problem. I think that was probably a Mark Pope problem. Ja'Cory Brooks went to Alabama. Long tradition of guys cut from here producing, and he ended up being a decent college player, but I believe he was undrafted. Undrafted.
Tyu Jones-Bell, another one too, right?
Went to Alabama, did nothing. Frank Lasson Jr., South Dade, he actually ended up here, but he didn't produce.
Hakeem Williams, as Just Jay says.
Hakeem Williams, Jaylen Brown. Who else am I thinking of? Brandon
Inniss.
Brandon Inniss has 100 yards.
Hey, wasn't Jaylen Brown the guy when he committed, someone tossed him a football and he dropped it?
Yes.
I was like, oh, boy. I was like, hey, Jaylen, you may want to learn your back pedal and your turn and go. You may be a defensive back. You may not be a receiver. It was like a soft toss, and you just kind of fumbled the thing like Edward Scissorhands. Guys, I feel your frustration. We're all frustrated. We want somebody to break out and bust out and be Andre Johnson 2.0. But I know this. There's never been a coach, including Mario Cristobal, who said, hey, guys, you know that guy that could really help us, that's going to be great and make us look smarter? Let's not play him. Guys, it's never happened. It has never happened. It'll never happen. People's jobs are on the line, from Kevin Beard to Shannon Dawson to Mario Cristobal. Keep that in mind. They're not holding anyone back that can help them. It's just my opinion.
Yeah, Jeremiah Smith, if he wakes up on the right side of the bed and picks Miami, and he made a right decision. He won the championship. Yeah. I think if he would have been just a year later, we probably would have gotten him. But the whole narrative changes, and I think Malachi is changing that a little bit as well. Luca Falsetto asking about group chat. Appreciate your interest. We're going to talk about your exact comment here once we get offline, me and Pete. Remember to like and subscribe to Group Chat Sports. So, Steve, before we get out of here, I know we've talked about everything. We've gotten your Korean baseball analysis. We've gotten the whole kit and caboodle here. Give me one last thing, a topic that you want to hit before we get up out of here.
that there's still a lot of football. You know, as I was ironing this shirt
It's a nice
last
shirt.
night.
Nice shirt.
Yeah,
With the
one of
pipe.
these, retro. And by the way, any shirt where Ibis Sebastian has the Band-Aid and the pipe, I'm buying it. I even bought a baseball shirt where he's like in bat. I don't even follow Miami baseball, but shout out to Charles Johnson, right? But anyway, so this is the 89 championship shirt. In 1989, Miami lost a game, I believe, in their 8th game of the year. They're 7-0 going up to Florida State. It was the famous game where John Ruth, the Ibis, he got detained, not arrested. Let's make that clear. Because he tried to put out the spear with the fire extinguisher. Well, he blew that game. Toretta had a freshman moment, lost 24-10. And Miami went from number 2 in the country to, I believe, 7 or 8. But they won every other game, including the showdown, November 25th, 1989, countdown to Armageddon, the greatest Miami victory ever, non-national title against Notre Dame. And they vaulted themselves back to winning the national title. The lesson here, kids, is that there's still a lot of football to be played. I know it's a different system back then, but this thing is analogous. Just keep winning games, and you can get over a loss.
1-0. Got to go
Every week.
1-0
Every week.
Against Stanford. Steve, tell everybody where they can find you.
Well, they can find me on Twitter at SteveKim323. Shout out to East LA. And then on Instagram, Steve Orale Kim, ode to East LA and Montebello. And then what else? I'm doing a 3 knockdown rule with Mario Lopez, and we have Eric Gomez as our special guest this week, president of Golden Boy Promotions. And last week, our interview with Dana White. I'll be on with Coach JB in a few minutes here down the line. And then I also do Fearless with Jason Whitlock. And guys, I just want to say one more reminder, guys, before you go to the tailgate tomorrow at Hard Rock Stadium, the Asylum, make sure you're loud, make sure you're passionate. And guys, it's a Saturday night. Let's try to show up by at least, 7:05. But make sure you go to Jensen Sunset Corners to fill up your cooler with everything that you need, wine, spirits, beer, all that stuff. And if you come in rocking your UM gear, any brand, any year, with or without the pipe and Band-Aid, you get 10% off all non-sale items. So that is Jensen Sunset Corners, a Miami tradition, located at 8701 72nd Street.
Let's go. Pack the electric juice. Steve, you're the man. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. And another fun week of college football. We're now in the week 8, guys. Let's be very thankful. It goes so fast. We're now in the halfway part of 2025. So look, we can be disappointed, we can be down, but let's be thankful we're right in the heart of the season. And for Mario Cristobal, still a lot of things to accomplish here. I have not given up on the season one bit.
No doubt about it. A lot better than getting blown out by Middle Tennessee or watching D'Onofrio defense or, Jeff Thomas quitting the team in the middle of the year and coming right back. I mean, let's not lose sight.
Well, Danny, before I get out of here, I want to go back to 2005 when we lost that game to Georgia Tech. And it was so deflating. If you go back to that year, what happened was, I think we played another game against Syracuse on a Friday afternoon. I think that was actually the Thanksgiving weekend. That game I watched and I said, ooh, we're disinterested. You could just tell that we didn't want to be there. And then that's when we got blown out in the Peach Bowl by LSU. And I said, it's over for Coker. But let me even go back further. 1993, we were 8-1 or 9-1 going up against West Virginia. And West Virginia ended up going undefeated that year. Notre Dame had just lost to Boston College. And I'm thinking, oh my God, Miami might get back into the national title run here. Because I think we were 3 or 4. Florida State was number 1 or 2. Or actually, they had just lost to Notre Dame in the game of the century. We end up losing to West Virginia. Their quarterback was Jake the Snake Kelchner, I think was his name. So for the first time in about 7 years, Miami was not going to be the national title hunt going into the last weeks. We played a game at home on a Saturday night to end the year against Memphis. They had a guy by the name of Isaac Bruce. Danny and Peter, I remember watching that game thinking, we've packed it in. We've packed it in. And in that Fiesta Bowl, we lost 29-0 to Arizona and the Desert Swarm. So I've seen this before where teams can either rally to do big things or they pack it in. So let's see where this begins on Saturday night.
I love it. I love it. I don't love I don't love the example, but I know you're positive. We're going to get this thing turned around. You're taking the spread.
Yes.
Steve, appreciate you. You're the man.
Thank you, Steve.
See you guys.
Always good. Always good, man. It's a lot easier when we have these guests. They just keep it rolling, man. He's a machine. He had that bunch story lined up.
Yeah, as always, man. He's the encyclopedia.
So I know you got another show here later today, but real quick, want to talk about our friends that helped us get through a very good show yesterday with Mike. I got to say, Pete, you were in rare form. The Toronto Terrier was one of the best touches I've seen on that show in a long time. Shout out to our friends at BUZZN helping us through that one. Drink, BUZZN.com. That is BUZZN, BUZZN at first 50, promo code 50% off your first order. Order cases, man. Load up. Or you can go to the Big Daddy's Liquors all across South Florida and get your can. BUZZN. Drink BUZZN. Yeah, that was a fun show. If you guys haven't seen that show with Mike Ryan, definitely check it out. Pete was rolling. I checked out your artist of the week. Nice stuff. Don, what, Pablo?
Hood Rich Pablo Juan.
Hood Rich Pablo Juan. I'm glad you're keeping your ears to the streets. You're keeping up with new music trends. You're not like me, who's getting older by the day. You're staying young. I think it's all the
Pablo Juan. He's been around for about 10 years. I've been a fan of his for a while, but he was in federal prison, man. The RICO hit that RICO charge, but he was supposed to have 15 years, only got 5. So we're back in business.
There you go. It's good. He just missed all these point guards that are heading in there. Not a good day for point guards between Billups, Damon Jones, and Terry
Rozier. Sheesh. Probably more to come, I guess.
OSO says pizzeria and he could have the ox. There it is.
Trying to tell you guys, man.
Hey, man.
I'll get on that hood, Rich.
You have, man. You've always been loyal to the soil, loyal to the South. He's a Southern guy, right?
I'm a big Atlanta music guy, yes. So.
By the way,
I will say Young Thug was at FIU's game, and he came to talk to the team. It's my favorite artist of all time right there. So I was a little jealous of that for FIU. But
Pitbull calling in a favor, I guess. By the way, shout out to Miami Hurricane Team Store. You want to get camo stuff? They got camo gear of all kinds. They've had camo gear here for years. They got the back-to-back state championship. There you go. There's the salute to service jersey right there. I know Josh Gross is going to be ordering that one ASAP. Boom. You want the camo stuff? You got it right there at the Miami Hurricane Team Store. Promo code INSIGHT20. That is promo code INSIGHT20. Get that camo gear. You could rock that one on Saturday and beyond.
D, I wanted to bring this comment up real quick. I'll just hit on it. I know you got to get out of here. Kyle asking, how did the basketball team look in the scrimmage? Any insights? So I'm going to have a show this afternoon from LaMelo's. I'm going to get more into basketball because the season starts officially here November 3rd, Jacksonville, I believe. So Miami dropped their first scrimmage against USF, their secret scrimmage, from what I understand. A lot of positives to take from it. They have FAU on Saturday and another secret closed scrimmage. Some buzz, man. Shelton Henderson, Dante Allen, those two freshmen are super legit. Trey Donaldson has been one of Miami's best players, point guard as well. And there was a rumor, I wouldn't call it a rumor. Last night, CBS Sports had posted that Caleb Gaskins, 5-star recruit, local Columbus product, was going to be making his announcement today at 5 o'clock. I did some checking last night when that link was up last night. And again, he was slated to, according to CBS, 247 was supposed to make his commitment today. I checked on it last night and I heard that was bad info, false info. He was not making a commitment today. That link has been removed now from 247 from CBS Sports' basketball page. So not sure when his timing is there. That's going to be, it's a tough battle there for a 5-star. Miami had felt really good early. You have Texas A&M coming in here really strong here at the end. But you gotta hope these ties with Coach Moran from Columbus, and Jay Lucas has been recruiting this guy for a while now as well. So you gotta hope those ties come through nicely. Kyle asked about the Euros. I'm gonna again get more into it today, but in terms of how they've approached the business there, they've been very impressive. Timothé Malovic will be one of Miami's best players. Noam Dovrat should be one of Miami's 1 or 2 best perimeter shooters as well. I've heard good things about him. Saleh Altundac should give Miami some nice depth in the inside there. But yeah, so Brandon asking what time the show, sometime early afternoon, maybe around 1 or 2 o'clock. Joel asking me the same thing. So keep it locked. I'll be live from Lomelo's Meat Market. But of course, all this basketball coverage brought to you by Aries Law PA. Check out AriesLawPA.com. This is my dad, guys. He's an attorney who specializes in estate planning. So wills, trusts. This is not stuff we like to necessarily talk about or think about, but you have to protect the people and assets you value most. Plan your future. Schedule your consultation today. His office is in the Gables on Coral Way, headed towards Brickell there. And you can also do a virtual consultation as well. So AriesLawPA.com.
Yeah, I know Mr. Aries. He looks like he wears the weighted vest, man. That guy's jacked up these days. He's ready for the season. Yeah. I think it sounds like good news that Gaskin's not announcing, quite frankly, based on the trend lines.
You know, it was strange because as soon as that link went up, we had my boy Trenton Breeze texting me and asking me, hey, is this legit? And it was a real link. Like it was on CBS Sports' basketball page, which is like 247 affiliate. And they had like 3 other commitments lined up for today also. And I said 5 p.m. today, but as soon as I texted someone, they said, that's not real. And he's not announcing today. And that link was removed or put on private when I clicked on it this morning. So, and the other 2 were still up. So not sure what's happening there, but and then you search Twitter, there's nothing about an announcement date today either. So doesn't look like it's happening today. But I agree. Like I probably think that's probably good.
Yeah. So let's keep that battle rolling. I'll be heading out now to Mark Light. Check out Canes Baseball. We're going to do a podcast later today, or at least recorded later today with the GOAT, Jim Sala, and Sebastian Font talking about Canes Baseball. So that's going on. I know if I'm going to be out there at Canes Baseball, I'm going to see the OrchidMan, ORCHID man, top landscape artisan in South Florida, Palm Beach, all the way down to the Keys. If you ever go to a baseball game, just look at the box. You'll see the OrchidMan holding court, or right there in the front row. He is one of the part of the royal families of Canes Baseball, the OrchidMan, ORCHID man. Florida.com. Sprinkler repair, irrigation, rain gutters, tree stump grinding, fertilizing, all the dirty work that comes with landscape, and he does that on top of making sure the thing looks beautiful, residential or commercial. OrchidMan, Florida. You've seen those trucks all over Miami and over South Florida. The ORCHID man, Florida.com. All right, man. It'll be a fun day. Good show. Steve's the man. We got the licking on Friday. We got a lot of stuff going on.
Saturday.
Sorry, it's
Listen,
Saturday. Yeah.
Friday games have done a number on us. The Friday game did such a number on us that Steve was saying the game's tomorrow. We're saying
we're all screwed
we'll
up.
be there on Friday. It's a Saturday again. So hopefully we get back into that cadence, into that rhythm, man, because this is not good. This is
Duffy's
not good.
tomorrow. We'll be out there and
tomorrow.
We'll have some fun. So everybody, appreciate you joining us. Like and subscribe.
1 p.m. today. I will be going live at 1 p.m. from Lamelo. So just
1 p.m. live from Lamelo. Yep. So this thing doesn't stop, man. We keep it going nonstop. We're not slowing down with a slight setback. Like and subscribe to the show. Go Canes.
Go Canes.